Hello, everyone, and welcome to Elevate the Soul Academy. And I think we're going to be finishing up today the Empaths Survival Guide series. And today I'm going to be talking about empaths and energy vampires and narcissists. This is very, 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 very important to know because it's these types of people that tend to diminish our self-image and our self-esteem. So when we learn to recognize the red flags of narcissists and energy vampires, we learn to stay away from them. And if we need to have those kinds of people in our lives, what we need to do in order to protect ourselves from getting damaged. Okay, so protecting yourselves from narcissists and other energy vampires. Now, what is the big deal with energy vampires? Energy vampires, they are very much attracted to the openness and loving hearts of empaths. Sensitive people have to be very much prepared for them. In some relationships that are positive and energizing for empaths, but for others, you know, it could be very draining. There can be certain people that can just suck the positivity right out of you as if you got a total knockout. You could be around the person, talk, and you're done with a conversation and you're just like, oh my God, I am like so drained. And you're like, how did I manage to speak with this person for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or, you know, however long it is? Now, the people, as most of you know, people that tend to drain your energy, they're called energy vampires. Now, the thing is with energy vampires, this is not really a fault of their own. They have no idea what they are doing. But energy vampires, basically, they are, I'm not going to say created, but they come about within people due to emotional and mental chaos.
Can I comment on that?
Of course.
Is it fair to say that energy vampires are needy?
Very.
Because it almost seems like an equation. Like they need something and they're sucking it out of you.
Yeah. And they're going to suck it out of you whether you like it or you don't, if you don't know how to protect yourself and put boundaries.
The energy vampires are what?
Needy. They're needy.
Needy.
Got it.
Can I give an example of somebody who I believe is an energy vampire? I think it might just like it's just, I hear the word and I'm like, I see this person before my face. She'll come into my house and like there could be like everybody sitting at the in the dining room having a meal, and since I'm not well, I'll be on the couch and she'll talk and talk and talk and talk, and then if let's say I go to the table for a bit and she comes with me, she'll like talk to only me and won't talk to anybody else at the table, and she's like kind of like she's got so much insecurity herself, but she also needs to constantly connect to validate herself, so she's kind of just like but she can't just engage in a normal way like let's all just have a conversation. It has to be this like pull to the side and get you to kind of like get into her frame of mind, what she's dealing with. Does that sound about right?
Oh, 100%. Spot on. Spot on. And those are like the easiest ones to deal with, because you could, us being as empaths, we're like, I guess you could say natural healers in our own way. And when you notice that someone is draining your energy, number one, you're going to know right off the bat, this person is going through emotional and mental chaos. And number two, most likely they need help. Now, don't go offer your help. If they come to you for help, help them. Don't offer it, because if you're going to offer it, it's like you're giving like a finger. They're going to take your whole hand and your whole arm with it. They need to, learn how to respect boundaries first before getting the proper help that they need. Now, there is a specific
Tell me
type.
if I'm tell me if I'm interrupting too much. I won't take it
Okay.
personally.
That's okay.
It's okay if I interrupt too much.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
think that I think they don't have enough security to ask for help. They want to manipulate you into giving it. So I think it's actually like a contradiction. Like, don't offer them help, and they probably won't ask for it, because I'm not saying if they do ask for it, it means that they became healthy enough to realize that they have to be proactive. But by nature, they don't want to be proactive. They want to manipulate you into sucking your energy.
Yeah, I've bumped into many people like that, and I learned my lesson the hard way. I do not offer my help. I could be a role model. I can drop a little tip here, drop a little tip over there. That's it. I'm not going to go above and beyond that, because I've literally had the life sucked out of me. Like, if I've had, clients, unfortunately, in that kind of a situation. Now, I love to help. I love to help people. But it got to the point where there was this one specific lady, everything in her life, I feel really bad. Everything, was chaos. And I told her, I'm like, look, you have so much going on. You literally have no choice but to take care of one thing at a time. You can't take on the whole plate right now. And she had absolutely no patience. She wants, everything to be fixed and settled and this and that. And if she sends me a question, I swear, if I'm not responding to her message within, I would probably say 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I would get another 40 messages right after. So as much as we would love to help, and we do love to help people, we need to understand that where our effort comes in, but more importantly, their effort when it comes in. Because if we're going to do that work for them, it's literally them like sitting on a throne like this, expecting everyone else to, do their own dirty work. And that's not helpful at all. That's sabotaging, that's enabling. And you should not feel bad by, restraining your help a little bit so they can get off their tuchus and make their own effort. That's actually more productive and more healthier for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but you said that the situation I described was the easier energy vampire. What's the harder energy vampire?
Whoa, that's the one I was just about to get into.
Okay.
Those are called the toxic energy vampires, and they make you believe that you're flawed and unlovable. They are so difficult with you to the point that you think you are messed up, or you're not capable of being loved. And when you're near them, you're not yourself. You tiptoe like you're walking on eggshells, praying that your next step was not going to cause an explosion. And some of them actually go to the point of putting people down, blaming, or even shaming, like you're too sensitive, or something is wrong with you. Let me see, hold on. Devorah said something in the chat real quick. We'll pull that up. Yeah. So we need to really pinpoint which energy vampires to associate with and which ones to like stay in your space. I'll stay in mine. You know, you be in your depressed cloud, whatever. Don't involve me. Don't pull me in. I'm in my happy space. I'm comfy here. So now that we understood the two different types of energy vampires and we could identify them, now it's time to discuss the plans. There's actually more different types of energy vampires, but I talked about the two main categories, and under those two main categories, there's like the subcategories. So with the regular energy vampires, like, you know, remember, they are motivated by fear and in their own insecurities. And they tend to annoy and deplete many people, and it's not just you. So let's see, how do we know if we've met, or if we're in the proximity, or if we have a relationship with, etc., with an energy vampire? So these are some of the signs to watch out for. If right after you meet with this person or talk with them on the phone, you feel tired and you want to go to sleep. The second flag, out of nowhere, you get in a terrible mood. You get very cranky, very edgy, like annoyed and on edge. Energy vampires will do that to you. In certain cases, you feel sick. That happens to me. When I'm around someone that's super draining, or when I talk to someone that is super draining, I get sick to my stomach. That's like my physical indication. Stay away. This is negative. This is toxic. Even when it comes to the energies in my house, sometimes my house could be like a grand central station. I'm being really honest with you. When it comes to the other realm, 95% of the time, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't faze me. The moment I start having my antennas up is when I start feeling very nauseous in my house. When I feel nauseous, I know that it's something negative and it's something toxic. Another thing is when you're interacting with this energy vampire, and no matter what you say, no matter what you do, you don't feel seen and you don't feel heard. Whatever you say, it's kind of like just going over their head, and they just talk about whatever they want. Not what you're talking about, it's what they want. It's about them. Another red flag. After you have an interaction with an energy vampire, some people have a tendency to reach for sugar or carbohydrates for a boost. Another flag is when you speak with this energy vampire and you're having general conversations, could be about whatever it is, and you start doubting yourself, your self-image, your self-worth, and you become very self-critical about yourself. You put yourself under a magnifying glass. You also tend to become very anxious, angry, or negative when you didn't feel that prior to the conversation or the interaction. Another flag is the feeling of shame, control, and being judged. So if you're speaking with let's say with a family member, right? Family members have a tendency to pass on some criticism. It's okay. When it becomes habit and it's a constant thing, and every conversation has some kind of criticism that makes you feel horrible about yourself, or that you're being constantly judged, or that you're being put under a microscope, that specific family member most likely is not aware that they are an energy vampire, and they are sucking the living energy out of you. Now, why am I specifically going to focus a lot on this specific topic? We as empaths have a very high tendency to get attracted to energy vampires. And it says over here, sometimes you might attract a specific type of energy vampire because of the mutual emotional issues you both need to heal. So when we try to understand this concept, you know, we don't really want to deal with energy vampires. You know, they're very draining, but also at the same time, we bump into them almost on a constant basis. We deal with them almost on a constant basis because it even teaches, I think Jennifer could really pinpoint where this one is, but when you see a flaw in someone else, it's actually a mirror of one of your flaws. I think it was discussed by Rabbi Brody. I wasn't in that class, but I know Jennifer was. Jennifer,
Yes.
do you remember like?
What? Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. It's not just Rabbi Brody, but Rabbi Lonava also said that Hashem, but more Rabbi Brody because it's Emunah and B'tachon was saying, Rabbi Brody states that Hashem purposely puts people in our paths, and when we see a certain flaw that they have, it's actually a flaw that we have, and one of the reasons why we're here, because we need to fix that. And so it's a mirror. It's a mirror image, because if it's something that we really, but not everything, but you'll know because you'll see it in yourself, and because Hashem will go, remember when you had a problem with so-and-so doing something else? Now look, you're doing the same exact thing. And then a light bulb will go off in your head and go, oh, that's why. And yeah, so a lot of times, majority of the time, everybody, if we have a certain issue, a certain predicament, like if I can't stand someone being late all the time, it probably is because I have a problem. I do the same thing or whatever. And Hashem purposely has somebody in my path as a mirror to point that out until I fix it. And then once I fix the problem, it's not there anymore. So that's what it is. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I hear you. It's funny how you're saying that, you know, you see it, you know, with yourself, but it's like, man, I have so many things that get under my skin that other people do. And I'm just like, but I don't do that. So it's like,
you know, it's hard. It's interesting because
maybe it's where
sit there and do the same thing. I would sit there and do the same thing going, I would see so many things that people are doing, and I would literally sit there and go, I don't do that. And then I kid you not, Hashem in his infinite wisdom will sit there going down the road and go, yeah, you do. Yeah,
or maybe he did. Maybe it's actually a past life thing.
Yeah, or you did. And so you don't do it anymore. And so it's also trying to teach us not to be judgmental, because if we've been there as well.
That's
So,
Can I add my 2 cents in this?
Of course.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I heard something really interesting, that if you notice it but it doesn't bother you, then it's basically our focus should be on viewing it. Okay, this is based on like a whole thing. If you want me to go into it, I could, but is it a story or is it a halacha? Are you trying to figure out what to do, or are you like, is it something that you're I guess for the sake of the discussion, we'll say that you're frustrated about. So I feel like when we get more into the practical side of people, okay, how do I deal with this, as opposed to like getting enmeshed with the whole story that's going on with them and judging it and all those things, we untangle ourselves from that whole thing of it being a mirror of us. And I also feel that it can be a mirror in a much smaller way. Like it doesn't have to be, okay, or it doesn't have to be in the exact same way. Like maybe that person's being late, but you have a certain area in your life where you're inconsiderate of other people.
Right. 100%. So this specific thing, like this mirroring, you know, that we were just talking about, it's called the wound mate relationship. It's where we keep repeating the wound process with each other. And it says over here, it's a very odd psychological comfort, because it's what you both know and what you're used to. You become attached to a toxic person and can't let go. This keeps you stuck in a painful cycle. For instance, your low self-esteem attracts people who will criticize you, and the criticizer attracts people that they can belittle. So going beyond that, like, for example, I'm going to give like a quick personal example because I have to. I just feel like it's very much relatable. When I first got married 15 years ago, I had no idea about all this stuff about like energy vampires or narcissists or none of that. And my husband literally fit almost into every single one of those categories. But the more I learned to, when I saw that there was something that was bugging him, like bugging me about him, I automatically did cheshbon nefesh and see where it's located in me, and I fixed myself. And I constantly fixed myself, focused on myself, you know, grew and all of that, to the point where my husband automatically started changing in a good way. And we have a much better communication and a relationship. And yeah, you know, we all have our ups and downs. We were both like, you know, alphas in a way. And, you know, when it's peaceful, it's seventh heaven. When we go head to head, it's like crazy. But I never paid attention to those things when, you know, I first got married, but now looking back, I'm just like, now everything makes perfect sense. Why I was attracted to this kind of a personality, why this type of people, you know, tend to pull me in. And it kind of, in a way, I guess you could say it's a gift in disguise, especially if your eyes are open, because you tend to see what you are lacking, you improve it. And not just that, if the person is meant to stick with you in your path, that person will. And the ones that are not meant to stick with you in your path and you're growing, Hashem is just going to disconnect those people. It's just going to get removed. So let's continue on. So I just right now talked, for instance, like our low self-esteem attracts people that criticize us, and the criticizer attracts people that they can belittle. Now these people can be friends, coworkers, spouses, whoever, but it says it even right here, spur you to develop self-awareness and to heal your own initial wound. So this relationship happens for you to eventually become self-aware of what is going on. Like you're going to feel something is not right here. That's like self-awareness. And you start going on your healing journey. And then when you start going on your healing journey, the ones that are going to be in your life will constantly be up to par with you, no matter how high you go. And sometimes, yeah, the part could be like this. It could take some time for your partner to go back up here. You might, you know, step down a bit. It's always going to be like this, but it always goes up. It doesn't stay in the same space and it doesn't go down. So let's go ahead and talk about the 7 different types of energy vampires. And the first one is, let's see who can guess what the first type is. Come on, guys, this is like common. Okay.
The narcissist.
Yep, the narcissist. It's like you could see kind of like the cartoon imagery of a narcissist, you know, and just being all, you know, everything is about them and whatnot. Big red flag. So narcissists are actually the most destructive to empaths. And she's referring to full-blown narcissists, you know, when she's describing it in the book, not people that have narcissistic tendencies or a few of their characteristics. She's talking about like full-blown narcissists. They act as if the world revolves only around them. Nobody else exists but them. Everybody else is wrong, but they are right. They have an inflated sense of importance and entitlement. And you constantly have to compliment them in order to get their approval. However, narcissists can be also extremely intuitive. And this is where they latch their hook. Because a lot of them are very extremely intuitive, they know who could be their perfect prey. They use their intuition to manipulate and achieve their goals. They do so much damage to empaths because they have little or no capacity for unconditional love. And it's not just like, if I love you if you do this, or I love you to the moon and back if you'll do X, Y, Z. No. It's more of like, unconditional love is being able to love a person even when it's not convenient for you, even when you're mad as heck, you put that aside and you still put the love forward. Narcissists cannot do that. If, for example, if they get angry, and they hold on to that and they don't try to mend, give the cold shoulder, silent treatment. A full-blown narcissist can do that. And many people have that narcissistic tendency, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm about to continue reading in the book, and she just right now explained it too. If you don't do things their way, or if you disagree with them, they become ice cold and punishing. They would withhold the love or give you the silent treatment, which can last for days or even weeks. Now, narcissists, as well as sociopaths and psychopaths, they have a thing called EDD, which is called empathy deficit disorder. They have no empathy at all. They could literally care less. They would have a smile. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. And deep down inside, they're like, I want to go home. I want to watch Netflix. I don't care what this person's going through right now. And what for me, what is the most alarming, so many people have narcissistic traits that even though they might not be a full-blown narcissist, I'm not going to refer to those right now, but the people that have narcissistic traits, those specific narcissistic traits, it's like full-blown kamikaze. There's like no middle ground with that. And it's so destructive, and it destroys so many marriages. I literally cry. I cry for Am Yisrael. I really do. And the thing is, they don't see anything wrong with it. Everything has to have balance. Everything has to have boundaries. You know, when something is too much or too little, it's not good. It's got to be balanced. And drives me insane, and it really hurts when I hear this couple is getting divorced. Oh, this couple that I knew 15 years ago from LA got divorced. This one is getting divorced. That's like, what's going on here, guys? Are people so selfish and self-centered today? It's painful. It's very painful. So a full-blown narcissist, their empathy is definitely not reliable nor real. They are persuasive charmers. They know how to work the charm. They're very persuasive. They know how to be manipulative, handing out, the flower on a first date or opening the car door and silently expecting you to do God knows what in return for this niceness. And if you don't give out that niceness, good Lord. So we always have to watch out for these flags because it's very serious. Once we understand the traits of a full-blown narcissist or just narcissistic traits, we will understand why we keep getting attracted to it. But she sums it up. It's basically their charisma, their promise, empty promise of love and connection. That's what we get pulled to when we deal with narcissists. Their charisma, their charm, and their empty promises. And with the charm, it could also get a little confusing and trap. They could be smart, they could be funny, thoughtful, generous, but they can't maintain or hold that. Meaning, take a relationship, like, let's talk about people that are dating, okay? Meet someone charismatic, funny, thoughtful, generous, opens car doors, whatnot. Let's say he understands that he's under a microscope and he's not really going to expect anything from you right off the bat. So he's going to wait about a month or two to start expecting. He sees that you're not putting out, or, you're doing you, you're not doing him. And he's starting to lose his patience in the 3rd and 4th month. By the time the 5th month is going to come around, you're going to see you're dealing with a narcissist or you're dating a narcissist, because he's going to start getting snappy and irritated. Now, when it comes to relationships and love, some people say, oh, it's, a feeling. It can be, yeah. In my humble opinion, love is a choice. When you base love on a feeling, that feeling fades away, the love fades away. There's a Hebrew phrase that says, Ahava shetluya badavar, davar nofel, nofel ahava. Love that is reliant on an external factor, and that external factor falls, the love falls right along with it. So in many shiurei Torah, and many different Torahs that I've heard about relationships and love and whatnot, the feeling of love gets developed after time. Love in itself is a choice. So they're not capable of love. They're not. Us as empaths, we are. We can choose to love someone, and we could love someone all the way, whether if it's as a friend or, as a mentor, or, as a student, or whatever it is. We know how to stick to it. We know how to love a person without conditions. So because we are sensitive and we're very attentive, innocent, and even sometimes gullible, we become targets for the narcissists, and we are very easy to drain because we lack usual defenses that most people have. It's like expecting someone without a heart to know how to love. This is how she describes a narcissist. And when it's a relationship involvement, it's very hard to leave because this narcissist is really going to play psychological games in a way that it's very, very, very hard to picture. So before I'm going to go into the protection strategies, there's one more thing that she wants to cover with narcissists. They use a lot of harmful techniques. This specific one is called gaslighting, which distorts another person's perception of reality by intentionally setting up crazy making situations and then questioning the person's sanity for reacting to the craziness. This is just the narcissist. This is just the 1 out of 7 energy vampires that we're going to be discussing today. Does anyone have anything that they would like to say, share, or add before we go into the protection strategy against the narcissist?
I want to give like a really crazy story that happened to me, and I'm only starting to realize now how crazy it is. My husband and I got married. I think it's like I just spoke about it to somebody, and I feel like I just like need to get it all out. But I think it's also a really interesting example. So we had just gotten married. We had our Sheva Brachas, and we came back to Brooklyn where my parents live, whatever. My parents are divorced, so they're both, living separately. And we came into my mother's house for supper, and she had prepared supper only for my husband. And then my father called, and he invited my husband to go out to eat with him, and only my husband. So here I was, like a newlywed bride, and my parents are, so to speak, both fighting over serving my husband and taking care of my husband, but I just didn't exist at all.
Wow.
So if you look at that scenario, it's such narcissistic traits to the extent that they were so, in my mind, like they were so interested in my husband's validation that they couldn't even see me, their own daughter. And the fact that it was about my marriage, not about their relationship with their new son-in-law. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it's also gaslighting to me because then it's like, it seems like such an innocent thing. I mean, it's not the most typical example of gaslighting, even though they do a lot of gaslighting. Both, you're so sensitive. Why are you getting so sensitive about it? Which is typical gaslighting. But in this case, it's like, it seems like, in a sense, so innocent, so gentle. And it's like, why would you be so upset? But in a sense, it's like, so the message in there is so deeply hurtful. And it took me so long to even like really recognize the extent of what a crazy thing that was, how deep the dysfunction is over there.
Wow, that's really crazy, insane.
Okay, thank you.
Wow. I'm very sorry that you went through that. That must have been very painful.
Still is.
Of course.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Becca, you know me. Everything you read just now on what is it, Narcissist or whatever. I need you, and you're gonna laugh, but I need you to get out of my head. I need you to just.
I can't do that, Jen.
I know.
I gotta pick your brain all the time.
But like everything that she read in that book, I am like the prime Golden Globe Award example of it. Okay? I mean, let's talk. My ex in-laws, family, the step family situation. I mean, come on. Every bit of it. I was like waiting for the phrase gaslighting to come out of your mouth because, oh my gosh, It's mind blowing, and the ability that they have, the extent that they can go so crazy that, like in my case, when I ended things, mine filed a bogus TPO. He changed the story around of what really happened. It made him look like the victim. It made me look crazy. Ain't nothing new. But I was shocked, to say the least, because I didn't know. Walk right in front of the judge. The judge sits there and says to him and his attorney, because he's looking all, proper, and goes, "This should have never been approved. I don't buy this for 1 minute. There is no way." And she could see right through him that the whole story was made up, and that in fact, she goes, "I know what really happened here. She was defending herself because you were trying to beat her." And she threw it out. She threw the whole thing out. She felt so bad for me. And I asked her, I said, "So does that mean I can get my kid now?" She's like, "Yeah, everything goes back to normal." You know what he did? I was driving down to the school to go pick up my kid. He already phoned his parents and they took the child and was hiding him because they lost. I tell you, it's what I have to deal with and what I live with, what I was dealing with and still do. It's everything that you said in that book. Everything. And they will, and the ex-in-laws sit there and they'll say they know how bad he is, but you know what? They're lying because they helping him. They're accomplices. They're just as bad. They're just as bad. It's like what I think it's Devorah was just saying. Same thing. We got married. His parents was even when we were dating, his parents were trying to break us up. When we were married, his parents were, I mean, it's like, they even questioned when I got pregnant with Rainen. They asked, "Is that really your child?" And he was saying, yeah. And his dad, he would sit there and say, like, we could put Rainen up on the black market and get a lot of money because people love beautiful white baby boys. Now, I dealt with this for 3 years, and you know now why I'm out. And you can see the damage I'm going through now just trying to break Rainen free from it. But, yeah, it is, Devorah. I totally agree. And
I'm speechless.
Yeah, it seriously, it's like everything that you were reading, and I know you're going to read more or whatever, I can already vision that the whole thing on narcissists, all different levels of them and everything like that, I've dealt with. In how many? I've been divorced for 9 years. I was with it for 10. Okay, we're going on 20. All right, and that's just marriage and divorce. That's not growing up. You know what I'm saying? That's not the growing up part with the family. But look, I've done a lot of work, and I can see it, and Rainen can see it, and he doesn't even know how to get out. And yeah, no, it's bad. It's bad because now what we got going on is what is it? The latest thing I hear is the ex-in-laws, they're afraid that if something were to happen to Brett and I get sole custody of Rainen, they think they're never gonna see Rainen again. Because they literally think that little of me. And I sat there and I said, well, if people could be a decent human being towards me, then I wouldn't keep anybody away from anybody because I'm not that type of person. I don't have hate in my heart. I have love in my heart. I'm not disgusting. So you can already see the mentality of where it's at. I don't, granted I keep coaching and everything like that, but they don't invite me over. They don't do anything. They never have. I was always like a thorn in the side. But yeah, to talk about it, I know firsthand all the different levels, and that's because I've seen it grow. You know, I've seen where, you know, at the beginning level where it starts, they're not full blown yet, right? And I've seen it grow where they're 100% full blown, and whoo, you gotta run. You gotta run, and you gotta hope, and you just gotta leave everything behind. And that was the hardest decision I had to make. And to this day, I'm fighting to fix that one decision.
Okay.
You know that, right, Becca?
Yeah, all right, I gotta continue.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. All right, so let's get into the protection strategies, protecting yourself from a narcissist. First one is lower your expectations for the narcissist's emotional capabilities. Number two, don't let yourself be manipulated.
Can you repeat the first one?
Of course. Lower your expectations for the narcissist's emotional capabilities. The second one is don't let yourself be manipulated. Number three, don't expect a narcissist to respect your sensitivities or your boundaries. Number four, just don't fall in love with a narcissist. Run in a completely opposite direction. What number was I on? 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 5. Try to avoid working with a narcissistic boss. But if you can't leave, don't let your self-esteem depend on your boss's reactions or validations. If you need to stick to a relationship where you have no choice but to deal with a narcissist, stroke the narcissist's ego. Frame your request in terms of how it can benefit them. This is the only way you will get through to a narcissist. For instance, if you want to take a few days off to attend a work-related conference, tell your boss something like this. This will help me make your business more successful. So whatever it is that you want to do, try to rephrase it or reword it that makes it sound as if it's revolving around them, even though it could be completely different. If you can, the next one I think is number 7. If you can, stop all contact with a narcissist when you can. And she recommends here just cold turkey. If you do it in stages, they're going to keep reeling you back in. And she discusses over here cord cutting visualizations. I'm not going to get into cord cutting because it needs to be done in like a proper way, and it's something that I'm going to be discussing in my other course. But if those that are not going to be taking the other course, send me a message later on today regarding cord cutting, and I can give you a more simplistic cord cutting technique that would also help. So getting into the second type of energy vampire is called the rageaholic. Now these usually they deal with conflict by accusing, attacking, and controlling. And they often yell to make their point. Now with the rageaholics, we tend to experience sensory overload because of the loud volume and the noise. Knowing the difference when The rageaholic, when the energy vampire, when they're actually venting or when they're dumping. This is, this is also good to understand also with friends. So you could understand what category they fall into. Venting is healthy and it's very time limited. They stick to one topic. They don't keep repeating the same point. They don't blame. They don't fall into victim mode. They're accountable for their own part and they stay open to solutions. So that's a healthy version, venting. The toxic version is dumping, where there's no time limit. It goes on and on and on and on and on. Someone who is constantly dumping will overwhelm another with many issues, keep repeating the same points, blames others, plays the victim, shows no accountability for their part in the matter, and is not open to solutions. So with the rageaholic, we discussed they accuse, attack, and control. Now, when they accuse, attack, and control, are they venting or are they dumping? If they're dumping, then it's a very toxic version of a rageaholic. Now let's get into protection strategies against the rageaholics. They need verbal validation. The most common verbal validation is "I hear you." Then suggest the issue would be worked out respectfully after they calm down. Say something like, "I want to help you, but it's hard for me to listen when you're in this state." So do not engage in their anger. If it's a loved one that's a rageaholic, you can set a no yelling rule with a loved one. The third one, that one's very hard for me. Stay calm. With me, yeah, no. No, someone gets snappy with me, I tend to snap back. I still got to work on that. Reacting impulsively will just drain you and aggravate the situation. True, that's very true, but yeah, I still need to work on my staying calm. Another protection strategy, pause when agitated. So if you don't take that pause, in the middle of an argument or a fight, you're going to fall into fight or flight mode. So if you don't want to do that, it's best to, count to 10, take a little time out, take a pause. And if you're not going to do that, then you're just going to drag yourself into the rageaholics dumping. Practice restraint with your speech. Oh, this is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is number 5. Sorry, guys. Practice restraint with your speech in all its forms, including texting, email, and phone. Then you'll be in charge of your emotions when you choose to address the person. This is not 100% easy to do, because with texting, emailing, you could say a specific sentence or phrase, and depending on the tone of voice the other person is imagining you talking, it could be understood in so many different ways. You could be texting to, I don't know, let's say your mom, "I'd love to talk. Hey, I'd love to talk to you right now, but I'm really busy. You know, you could be expressing it in a soft tone, but how your mom could hear it is, hey, I can't talk right now, I'm really busy. Same sentence, two different tones, two totally different, what's the word I'm looking for? Observations, I guess. So knowing how to perfectly word what you need to say. For example, I'm busy right now, can't talk. You could rephrase that in a way that the point will be understood without any other toppings around it. Like, for example, adding the word, I would really love to talk to you right now, but I can't, I'm really busy. Or something along those, rephrasing it. Practice restraint with your speech in all of its forms, including texting and email. Number 6. Visualize yourself as an open window with air freely flowing through it. In other words, if someone's getting snappy with you, don't absorb it. Let it, just let it fly over you. Or most famous one, go in one ear, out the other. Don't take it personal. Don't let it get under your skin. After you've done all that and you feel like it's still not helping, the last one, leave the room or ask the other person to leave the room if they can't stop or won't stop yelling. So real quick discussion. How many of you have had encounters with rageaholic energy vampires?
Yes, me.
Me too.
Me 3.
Now this one.
E4. Seems like we're all
Wow.
here for a reason.
I know. And the craziest thing is, I'm sure like as I go through the list, we have all bumped into every single category that could possibly exist on the face of this planet. And yet we're still here, we're still thriving, we're still growing, we're awesome.
I have
Yeah.
run into the true narcissist a couple of times, and it was extremely unnerving. I might have crossed paths with a rageaholic, but I've never interacted with one. But a true narcissist, I have, and they're creepy. They have a creep factor. I'm sorry, they do.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Oof.
Can I give another example about how like narcissists can turn something about themselves?
Yep.
Okay, my mother came to my house and there was we had a guest there who he lost his brother 6 months before, and she's like giving him speeches according to Tyra of how he should be able to totally accept that it's from God. And I feel like it's like such an example, like she had to be the one who was the smart one in the situation where this person was, you know, writhing in pain over the loss of his brother.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I'm not giving it the examples of the more extreme things because we all know the people who are screaming and yelling and crazy, and she's been there also, but it's like it creeps in the strangest ways. Another example I could give you is like if you tell my mother, oh, thank you so much, you washed the dishes so nicely, you know, I really appreciate that you cleaned up. She'll start explaining to you exactly why she does it and everything about her psyche. Like she can't just say, oh, you're welcome, because it's all about her and she has to get you to just be like drawn into her world.
Yep. Yeah, I know the feeling. Sometimes, like, I would, a while ago when I used to be, more in touch with my mom. If I were to call her and, she didn't answer, or, whatever, it didn't bother me. In my head, okay, she's busy. She'll see my missed call whenever she feels like it. She'll get back to me. That's how I think, right? My mom calls me back. I'm so sorry I missed your call. I had to do this. I had to do that. Da, 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 da. I'm like, Mom, you don't have to explain yourself to me. I get it. You don't answer the phone. That's fine. I'm sure you are busy. The world's not going to end. You stop explaining yourself. You don't have to. So when she's doing that, I understood where I got all of my characteristics from. And when I started doing my healing journey, I'm like yanking it out like as fast as possible, because it's not healthy in any way, shape, or form. And yeah, and this is the next category that I'm going to go into, because this one is, I guess you could say, this gets more under my skin than all the others. And the next category that I'm going to be talking about when it comes to the energy vampires, the ones that play victim. I cannot even begin to explain, trying to stop my veins over here from popping out. For me, it's very similar to those that like to shoot themselves in the foot and go cry for help. It's like, don't shoot yourself in the foot in the first place. You wouldn't be in this situation. So let's see what the book has to say about the victim. Energy vampires with a victim mentality drain empaths with their "the whole world is against me" attitude. They don't take responsibility for the problems that happen in their lives. Other people are always the cause of their problems or distress. And empaths often fall into the compassionate caretaker role with victims, codependency, evil cycle. And we try to solve their list of problems. I'm sorry, you guys could probably just like feel it off me how much this gets under my skin. Oh my gosh. Victims typically respond to any possible solution with yes, but. I said that to my kid today. Stop saying the word but. You're focusing on excuses, not solutions. Stop saying but. There's no but. Oh my gosh, so common. So the empath may get frustrated and end up screening emails or phone calls or purposely avoiding this draining person. Guilty. Although we want to be supportive, the victim's barrage of complaints is too much for the empath to take. Empaths must learn to assert boundaries with people who have the victim mentality, and be careful not to turn into a codependent or their therapist. I'm sorry, I want to laugh. Oh my gosh. I want to know what your guys' take on the victim. Please.
Well,
I want to make sure that I'm not crazy.
You're not crazy. So I think that the people that have the victim mentality, and this goes back to that, what you were saying, don't offer your help. Because I have fallen into that with people, with a couple of different people who thought, you know, always the victim, always the victim. They just wanted to whine and complain about their life, but they never did anything. They never listened to my advice. And finally, I just like, I started definitely not answering those phone calls, just a short response to a text message, you know. And that goes back to, if they ask for help, then maybe help, but just a little bit. Because until they realize that, you know what, you're the conqueror of your own world. So if you're just going to be a victim to every single circumstance, many of them that you created yourself, you're never going to get out. You're never going to get out of that cycle. It's like a cycle, and they can pull us in, and it's like a freaking tornado. And we just don't need to be there. You have to protect yourself. Yeah. So finally, I've learned that, and I back off when somebody, you know, because we are open and they can sense that about us. They'll just like, it's like sitting on a plane beside somebody you've never met before, and they want to share their entire story with you. It's like, you know, I wanted to take a nap. Why are you talking to me? You know? So anyway, got to learn to figure out how to put up those kind of shields, you know, like that. Of course, I have a resting bitch face, so that's all I have to do is just show them my resting bitch face, and then there you go.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. Wow. Who else wants to share their take on the victim?
Maybe something I would like to share is that I think that I have a hard time with people giving me advice, and or the way somebody would give advice. Like if I ask for advice, then I'm happy to hear somebody's suggestions, but I find that it's really a skill to know how to offer suggestions and things, and I'm really sensitive to that, and really don't take well to it when people try to solve my problems and know what I should be doing, and a lot of their suggestions are not going to be relevant to me because they're just not. So I guess that's just what was coming up for me when you're saying that, like the yes, but okay, that's an interesting idea, but there's a lot of other things that, you know, that I need to take into consideration.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that I understood properly. So you were trying to, you were saying that you utilize the yes, but in reference to that you don't want to take someone's advice. Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, I'm not saying I say yes, but I'm just saying I could, like, that's the idea, you know, like, yeah, I appreciate it, and it doesn't work for me.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying, and I absolutely agree with you. You have every right to say that. But on the yes, but that the book was specifically referring to was when you're going and when the person is going and asking for help, yeah?
Yeah.
And like, let's say person A is asking for help from person B. And person B is saying, okay, you know what, if you're stuck in this situation, you know, these can be your solutions. And person A is saying, yeah, but if I do this, then XYZ might happen. Or, yeah, but if I do this, then ABC might happen. You know, like no matter what solution is going to be brought to person A's table, person A is going to continuously look for more problems and focus more on the problems than actually focusing on the solution. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just also believe that even when we, let's say, offer suggestions, it's going to be more effective when we, you know, when we elicit the ideas from the person who wants it. But I agree that people who are just not ready to go for solutions, they won't go through it for it however you phrase it. You could phrase it in the best way possible, but they're just not ready to
Yeah.
take responsibility.
Yep. 100%. All right, now since we're a little short with time, I'm going to have to kind of rush through the other 7 energy vampires, but let's go over the protection strategy from the victim energy vampires. So first of all, we need to set compassionate and clear boundaries. Number 2, use the 3-minute phone call. Listen briefly, tell your friend or family member, I support you, but I can only listen for a few minutes, or I only have 5 minutes. I only have whatever amount of minutes you have. And remind them that they're on a timer. The third one is say no with a smile. For instance, with a coworker, you can smile and say something like, I'll hold positive thoughts for the best possible outcome. Thank you for understanding that I'm on a deadline and must get back to my project. With friends and family, we briefly empathize with their problem, but we say no with a smile by changing the subject and not encouraging their complaints. So basically, there's a strategy that they use for toddlers, and it actually works very well on adults, by the way. I think it's called redirection, where we kind of help change their focus. They're like constantly focusing on the negative, 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 negative. So we point something out, we shift their attention to something positive, and they're like, oh, look, ooh, something nice and bright and shiny. So it's called redirection. So that's called like saying no with a smile. The last one is set limits with body language. This is a good time to cross your arms and break eye contact to send a message that you are busy. Use your body language.
Or start walking to the door and open the door.
Or just press that red button on your cell phone and you're done. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm sorry. I have had to be brutal like that a few times, unfortunately, but it's okay.
I heard a story one time. One of my friends, this is a family member of theirs. Their guests could go out the front door and, go a certain direction, or they could go out the back door and go in a different direction in the community they lived in, right? And so they would, like, when they were like getting tired of the people just sitting around yakking on, especially on like a Friday night, after dinner, they would say, okay, so who's going out the front door and who's going out the back door? And I'm like, that is genius. That is genius. I don't know that I'd ever had the gall to do that, but when you're ready to go to bed, you're ready to go to bed.
Yeah.
So why not?
Yep, 100%. All right, let's get into number 4. The drama queen or king. Hello. Yeah, these types, there's just nonstop drama. All around, nonstop drama. And the nonstop drama, basically what it consists of, too much information and stimulation for empaths to even process. So they don't even finish with problem A or B. They're already on to C, D, F, E, F, whatever. It's a nonstop cycle, never ending. Let's see if she can get a really good example. She says drama is a kind of drug that some people become very addicted to. 100%. Yep. And the reason why, it's because the drama king or queen, their main goal is to receive the reaction, the attention, the validation. Chances are they probably didn't get enough attention when they were little, and it's very unfortunate. But I haven't really crossed paths with drama king or queen, maybe like very few throughout my whole entire life. But even that's enough for me. Have any of you bumped into the drama queen or king?
Yeah, sure. Like I'm gonna kill myself every 5 minutes.
Oh God.
Is that drama queen enough?
Yeah. Wow.
Hey, I've been there. But you know, I was a drama queen before, but that's only because you know why.
Yep.
I'm good now.
Baruch Hashem.
Right? But I also have run into drama queens too. I just wanted to make that
We love you and you're doing amazing.
Yes.
Thank you. It's not easy, I'll say that.
Now it's so funny. I'm looking over here on the protection strategy from the drama queen or king. I love the first tip. I think it's the most simple one and done tip. So tip number one, don't get mad at me. This is from the book, okay? I love it. I agree with it, but don't get mad at me. Just don't ask these people how they are doing. If you have to ask, then you have to ask, you know. Sometimes
I love that so much. I've actually said that. I've actually said it to my husband. I will not ask so-and-so how she's doing.
That's a loaded question when you do.
my God.
Sorry, I agree with you, Becca. It's loaded. Oh.
And the funniest thing is, Jen, you could totally see me do that. Like, no, I'm not gonna ask how this person's doing. Nope.
In fact, I've seen you actually say that too to me. I'm not gonna ask. I'm not gonna ask.
And I'm the person who would ask the question and just sit down, have a cup of coffee, and not say anything else.
You'll be having about 10 cups of coffee by the time they're done.
100%. Hi, Charlie.
Oh,
So
what can I say? I'm an instigator.
So this is how you do it. They ask you how you're doing, and I'll say, I'm fine, hope you are, and just keep on walking, you know, or something. Or
Yep.
move to another seat or whatever I have to do, you know.
And I mean, I know that I've bumped into quite a few of them, and they know I kind of catch on to their little stigma of, you know, being the drama king or drama queen. And sometimes I could even tell, give me 1 second, my dog is shaking. So sometimes I can even tell when they're asking me, oh, how are you doing? Why do people tend to call me? I don't have phone calls. I have my phone on block. Hold on 1 sec. Okay. So sometimes people tend to ask me like, how are you feeling? But they're asking me in a way that they're expecting me to ask them in return how they're doing. So then they could just like, blah. And when I catch on to that, they say, how are you feeling? Oh, I'm doing good. Thanks. Thanks for asking. Leave it there. Not falling into that trap.
I call that word vomit.
So
They're
they
just gonna
definitely, you know, be doing that as well. So it's kind of like a tricky tactic that they use. So the second tip, breathe. When drama queens or kings start up, breathe, stay calm, and don't get caught up in their story. Now, if you can, set kind but firm limits. Hi. The next one is going to be number 5, energy vampire number 5, control freaks and critics. These energy vampires always offer their unsolicited opinions. Good Lord. You know what you should do? You should do X, Y, and Z. You know who you should be going out with? You should be going out with that person. That person comes from a good family, or, you know, whatever. They always know what's best for you. They actually don't. And they proceed to tell you whether you want to hear it or you don't. And they continue to nitpick about things that you're doing wrong, such as you forgot to put the dishes away again, or you really should learn to park better. Empaths may take to heart a control freak's disapproval, particularly if they lack self-confidence. So they end up feeling attacked, depressed, and tired. Remember, an opinion is not a fact and requires no accountability. But of course, it can be helpful to listen to criticism only if the comment is constructive, not destructive. Okay, I'm sorry that I had to continue and cut off, but who wanted to say something?
I'm so sorry. I didn't hear you because I was writing and I didn't catch what you said. You said you were talking about control freaks and what?
Critics.
Critics. Thank you. I'm sorry.
It's okay, sweetie. It's okay. I got nothing but love for you all. So yeah, these people tend to always know what's best for you. They tell you how to live your life, how to run your life. They even get to the point where they can make decisions for you, like at a restaurant. You know, you could want something specific and like, no, you should really try this, and they go ahead and order what it is that they want, not what you want. But yeah, though dealing with those people are very gnarly, and it could get tricky too. They have traps up their sleeve like you don't know. So the best tips for protection strategies against control freaks and critics: be assertive, but don't tell these types what to do, because that will only make them defensive. So instead, say to them, I value your advice, but I want to think about how to approach the situation myself. Or I would like to find a better alternative, or, you know, whatever it is. Number 2, this book says politely ask the person to stop criticizing you. You can, if you want. I'm personally not, like, I would be polite, but very firm. Like, it's just something you don't do. You don't go there. You don't cross that line. Not with me. No. And I don't repeat myself when it comes to that. The third one, if you feel inadequate around a controller or a critic, identify the self-esteem issue that has been triggered and focus on healing on it. So if you get criticized by someone that's a control freak or a critic, and you feel like you really got hurt deeply, then figure out what the trigger is and start the healing process on it. Have you guys dealt with these?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's like this particular person who I usually speak to maybe twice a year now, because I pretty much have like just got her out of my life. But yeah, it's like I couldn't do anything right. She even called me after I got out of the hospital from surviving COVID pneumonia and said, well, you know, this is such a good time now because you could really work on yourself and lose 100 pounds and blah, blah, blah. And this is a person who weighs as much as I do, probably more. Like,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, like, just really not nice. And I said, well, thank you. I do realize that Hashem saved me, and this is a reset for my health. Thank you very much. And, you know,
Nice.
I'm really loving this topic.
Oh my goodness, we could go on and on and on.
Yep.
Yeah, the one that I know, I have no contact with anymore. I can't even remember the last conversation I had with this particular person. It was just like I had reached my limit and I said, this is no more, done. And I walked away, and that was that. Smartest decision I ever made.
Wow. Whew. Okay. Now, the next type of energy vampire that she's going to be covering, I don't really run into this, mainly because I just don't let it. I just don't let it. But number 6, the nonstop talker. Nonstop talkers can drain the living life force out of empaths with an endless verbal assault. They trap you and recount their life stories without pausing for a breath. And they don't give you any openings to interrupt them. They can also move in so close physically that they intrude on your personal space. Even if you take a few steps backwards, they will take a few steps forward. You can't escape. I can. But yeah, there's a joke that there needs to be a 12-step program for addictive talkers called On and On and On. That was hilarious. They should really open one of those. Us as empaths, we are incredible listeners, but the nonstop talker takes advantage of that, and it drains our energy. Now, we often make the mistake by tolerating the chronic talker for too long. And then we become exhausted. To protect ourselves, we must address our tendency to people please. Yeah, I cannot deal with, handle, tolerate nonstop talkers. It drives me nuts. And I could be very blunt and say, you could be quiet now. And I've done that. But I'm thankful to the people that I have done that. They understand that sometimes my patience can be very limited. So they get it and they apologize. And then that's it. They love to hear the sound of their own voice. Yes, 100%. So let's figure out how to protect ourselves from nonstop talkers. Number 1, they do not respond to any nonverbal cues. So if you go like this or like this, they're not going to get it. You literally got to physically say, be quiet. Or, are you done? She says over here, be tactful. When it comes to being tactful, I think it all depends on who you are dealing with. Some people, yes, you have to be very tactful. For example, if it's a grandparent that likes to talk, or a parent or a sibling, whatever it is, yeah, you got to have just a tad bit of tact and say like, look, I love you, but honestly, you are driving me insane. Can you just like tone it down just a couple notches, please? Or however it is that you want to phrase it. You know, I'm very straightforward. So you do however you want to do it. I'm sure you'll find your phrase. But for those that are not really in your inner circle, exactly, you do you. For those that are not in your inner circle and it really doesn't make a difference and they're just like blah, 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 all the time, you could just be like, okay, I'm done. They could say, oh, I'm not. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm out. Next tip. State a request with a family member or coworker in a neutral, non-blaming tone. Let them know, I'd like to add to the discussion too. It would be great if you would allow me to contribute. If you convey this message without irritation, you will be better heard. So if you're having a conversation with a nonstop talker, you gently state a request. I'd like to add to the discussion. You know, you kind of interrupt them, but like nicely, but you're contributing to what they are saying. Again, it revolves around them. I'm all for the last one, by the way. Using humor. Using humor. With people that you know very well and who will understand you, you can jokingly say, the clock is ticking, or are you done yet? As one good friend does with me when I get long-winded. Yeah, I do that. I use humor a lot, but with certain people, I'm actually really serious. Have you guys bumped it? Have you guys bumped into that? Oh, this is great. I love it.
That's one I have not, fortunately.
You're
The
so
non-stop
great.
talker? That's the question?
What?
You're asking if we've bumped into the nonstop talker?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the same person who, you know, is like hijacking me to constantly talk to me wherever I am and doesn't want to talk to anybody else. Yeah, absolutely. It's the same person who says I'm going to kill myself. So she falls into many categories at once.
Oh yeah, poor thing.
Exactly. It's really poor her. It really is. Very painful.
Yeah, at the end of the line, yeah, but also at the same time, like, can that really apply if the person, you know, has so many options in front of them and they choose not to take the options, they choose not to see it?
I hear you. And with this specific person, it's like she tried therapy and she feels like she can't trust the therapist, and she tried 12-step groups and she felt too self-conscious. It's like, you know, there's so much trauma that they just feel blocked up. They just don't feel safe enough to explore options. It's very unfortunate. It doesn't
Right.
mean that we have to put up with it, but I think there is, and it's okay to laugh about it, but there's also a space for an enormous amount of compassion.
Of course.
They're trapped.
Like I said, with all of these tips and tricks, you know the people that you're dealing with. Every person's personality is very different. Some have a tendency to be more compassionate than others. Some are a little bit more straightforward and blunt. As I've mentioned many times, I'm more of the straightforward and blunt type person. Some, you could be more of the compassionate. It's absolutely okay. But with me being straightforward and blunt, it's like, I gotta know which energy vampire I'm dealing with. Therefore, I know how to, go about with the protection strategies. You could be more of the compassionate one. So like, let's say, for example, using humor, might not apply to you, or not utilizing nonverbal cues. You pick and choose what is your strategy, whatever fits your personality and the person that you're dealing with.
Right.
So finally,
By the way, I'm more the type that will sit there and go, I gotta go. It's getting late. I gotta go. I gotta go. I hear you, but I gotta go right now. I've done that a lot.
yeah.
Because my old job, there was a lot of those. And yeah, and now I love it when Rainan's with me, because when we run into him, he's like, "Mom, gotta go." And I'm like, "Yeah." So then I go, "I gotta go. We gotta go." I love it. I'm like you, blunt. I got. Yeah.
Yep. All right, and the last but not least, number 7, the passive aggressive. These people express their anger with a smile. They sugarcoat hostility, but you can intuitively sense the anger beneath their pleasant facade. They often procrastinate, conveniently forget, and make excuses for why they couldn't fulfill a commitment. So here are some examples of passive aggressive behavior. Your partner keeps forgetting your birthday, though they know how important celebrating your birthday is to you. A friend brings cupcakes to your house when she knows you're on a diet. Noisy neighbors promise to be quiet, but they don't. A colleague keeps saying, "I'll get back to you," but they conveniently forget. Passive aggressive people are known for making sarcastic comments about you and then saying, "Can't you take a joke?" And they also sulk when they don't get what they want, but claim nothing is wrong. These are confusing messages for empaths who are much more direct. I don't like energy vampires, period. I don't like them. So what's the best protection strategy for the passive aggressive? Number 1, don't question your response to a passive aggressive person. Just because their anger is hidden doesn't mean it's not real. Trust your gut. Number 2, recognize the pattern and address the behavior with the person. Number 3, focus on resolving one issue at a time, so the passive aggressive person doesn't feel attacked. Number 4, if you can't get a direct answer, ask the person to clarify their position. It's important to address behavior and find a solution, and be specific with someone who is passive aggressive. How many of you guys have dealt with passive aggressive?
Me.
Yep.
Right.
So I could get in, I want to touch up very briefly on emotional hangovers, because we all get those when we deal with energy vampires and toxic people and narcissists and whatnot. So how to cure an emotional hangover? I love the first one for those that can. I did that today, actually. Practice the shower meditation. When showering, stand under the stream of water and say this affirmation inwardly or out loud. Let this water wash away all the negative energy from my mind, body, and spirit, and feel the shower cleansing you and rejuvenating you. Feel all the negative toxicity coming out of your body and literally going into the drain. Number 2, cure for emotional hangover. Use gemstones, crystals, little bling bling. Yeah. I actually, I noticed that when I had craziness in my house this past 2 days, I was not able to access my crystals and my bracelets and whatnot. And today I finally managed to put them on and I feel a lot more grounded.
Really? Really?
Yeah. My issue was in my room and my bracelets and my necklace was stuck in my room.
Interesting. Where, can I ask you where you get them from?
What, these?
Yeah.
I got them from a stone shop that's, I'm not gonna be going there anymore. I'm gonna be going to a different one. Jen knows about it. But yeah, you could, it's better to go to like a mineral and gem shop rather than like a metaphysical shop. Because in a metaphysical shop, there's all kinds of like bad juju in there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you got to go to a straight crystal stone shop where all there is crystals and stones.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like not selling like St. Michael's or like, no, just
Yeah,
straight
yeah,
up stones, minerals.
And is there anything you have to do to them when you get them home before you put them on or anything?
They should be already like, you know, cleansed. But I'm gonna, usually you just put them on. There's ways to recharge them. I could give you instructions.
That would be amazing.
Of course.
How do you know which ones to get?
To be really honest, a lot of times it chooses you.
Uh-huh.
You get pulled to it.
Rivka, did you say what the issue was in your house? Or is
I didn't mention it in the WhatsApp, but yeah, I just had very negative, toxic, unwanted spiritual energies.
wow. How did you know? Just because you felt it, like personally?
I see them.
Lucky you.
Can other people in your house see them?
My daughter.
And she saw them?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Have
By
you
the way,
checked your mezuzahs recently?
What?
Have you checked your mezuzahs recently?
I'm getting them sent out tomorrow.
Bezrat Hashem, Becca.
Bezrat Hashem.
Bezrat Hashem. How many?
Bezrat Hashem, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, Leah, I've been on her about needing to go get those mezuzahs checked because I was at her house yesterday helping her.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I actually needed someone to come over to my house because I was just too scared. It triggered so much PTSD, you have no idea.
And I was like, do you need me to come over? And she's all like, yes. And I was like, bat signal, got in my car, was there, and whoop, because I tell her all the time, if you ever need me, I'm just a bat signal away. And BH, I always remember I'll come through, right?
Yeah, and this little one couldn't stop barking out the hallway.
Oh, well, Charlie, he's doing his job. He's trying to get him out.
But yeah, the energy was like really, really, really complicated and complex. I'm having 2 rabbis help me out with it.
Wow.
what do they look like?
I really don't, for those that you don't want to get nightmares, you know, feel free to, you know, either turn the speaker off or, you know, whatever, but
Are you sure you want to get into it? Because, I mean, you know, I'm just saying.
If she needs you, you'll come over.
And No, I think
She's done for today.
I could come over, you know that. But
No,
I
but
think I'm done for the day because the other ones are there, right?
The what?
Is hubby home?
No.
Yeah, but the kids are.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be back up then. Yeah.
So one of them looked like very tall, skinny, very dark complexion. Crazy.
Form?
What was that?
A human form?
Kind of. It looked very too stretchy, too thin for human form, but yeah. Very crazy looking white, black eyes. Very long, sharp fingers, fingernails, sharp teeth. That was the male that I saw. And the other one that I
What
a
was
girl.
the male wearing? Like what did his body look like?
It was just black.
Wow. Oh. And what about the other one?
The other one was a girl about the age 8, 9. You know those children that are like, what's the word I'm looking for? Just not taken care of. What's the word?
Disheveled?
I guess, yeah. Her hair was like very knotted, like up to here. Her energy,
Neglected?
like what? Neglected. Yes,
Neglected.
thank you.
Yeah,
Her
neglect.
energy felt psychotic. I'm not kidding you. I bumped into this one. I literally feared for my life. And
Why?
that has not happened to me since I was like 15 years old.
Why?
Yeah. And those were the two main ones that were causing a lot of issues. It was really bad. I mean, I mentioned in the group, I'm taking a medication. The side effect is hallucinating. I was really hoping I was hallucinating, really hoping. And the moment my rabbi was like, no, unfortunately, you're not hallucinating. You're actually under attack right now.
What? Like, first of all, your rabbi knows a lot about these things.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so do you know why it's happening?
The why is always a very complex question because there could be many things intertwined with why. One common denominator that always crosses my path when it comes to this is me doubting myself with how spiritually powerful I am.
Explain that.
Because I was born with, I guess you could say natural healing abilities. I was born with natural mediumship abilities. I have like a very, I guess you could say, my neshama is expected to reach a very specific level. Okay, or Hashem expects me to be at a very specific level. And either when I don't go up to par or when I am at par, but I look downwards on myself, it's kind of like Hashem, kind of like, no, you have to understand that you got this. You're the one that can control that's in control here, not them. I gave you your powers for a very specific reason. I let you to be able to see them and feel them and hear them for very specific reasons. And one of those reasons is not for you to go running away. You got to face it. You got to deal with it, overcome it, become better, be more on top.
Wow.
There could be many reasons. It could be also like an emotional unbalance. It could,
But could that
be a
be
lot of
going
things.
on? Could that be going on in my house and I don't even realize it?
It's possible.
So what happens when they're around? Like how do things get affected?
Number one is mood swings.
Mm-hmm. I want you to come to my house and scout out.
Bezrat Hashem. Where do you live?
Kingston, Pennsylvania.
Oh, Pennsylvania. Good Lord. Pennsylvania, New York, the whole tri-state, that whole area is like one big mosh pit of paranormal activity.
It's a black
A
hole,
what?
Becca. Let's just leave it as that. It's a black hole.
Yeah. Because of all the history that's there,
What do you mean?
all the history of the land, but it's for like, you know, I could probably get into it in the energy healing course, but it's very complex. It's very deep. It's like a whole world in its own.
I hear. Okay, I'm curious.
Yeah, feel free to reach out to me after.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Okay, well, when I moved into the place where I live now, unbeknownst, I had like maybe 8 mezuzahs. Okay, but I happened to pick one, put it up, and it actually ended up being bad. So I had you, Rivka, and somebody else said, you need to check your mezuzahs, and it was bad. And I mean, what happened to me? Yeah, I mean, I had like my dream job, and I couldn't handle the stress. I couldn't sleep. When I would lay down at night, I felt like there were bugs crawling all over me. I mean, it was really bad. So if anything, and I had a wreck, and I had this unexplained pain. I mean, it was just all kinds of stuff. So anytime something like that starts happening in your house, people, check your mezuzahs. That should be the first thing you do, in my opinion.
Yep, I remember. Guys, give me just 1 second. I'm gonna have to wrap it up. We went like massively overtime, but give me just 1 sec. Alrighty. It's like now that the lights, yeah.
Did you light any white candles to help remove these things, or is that that's not even gonna work in this case, is it?
The what?
Lighting white candles. Anyways, that's a couple more down the page. Okay, I'll be quiet.
Yeah, no, I haven't gotten to that one yet. When it comes to like lighting white candles or colored candles, I gotta look a little bit more into that. I mean, it could be that there is nothing wrong with it. But I personally would want to stick to things that are very earthy, like showering meditations, gemstones. When it comes to smudging, there's a lot of thin lines with smudging. I haven't heard that it's like completely usor, but also at the same time, I haven't heard that it's completely okay either. If you're gonna light a white candle, in all honesty, you want to clear your headspace, light a candle for a tzaddik. It's white and they give a lot of emotional support. Ow.
Can I say something, Becca?
Sure.
When Shoshana was saying about the lighting the white candles, I got major anxiety. And you know that's a trigger for me. Because I have all I kept hearing when she was talking about that is Avodah Zarah.
No,
No, with
it's not though.
No, I get that, but that's what I was hearing. That it's running the line of being similar to Avodah Zarah. But when you said if we light a candle for Sadiq, that's where it changes. Because the candles, the Netilat candles are white. I don't think we're
Look, lighting a white candle is not Avodah Zarah. You're not praying to anything, just the white in general. And I'm covering this in my
Are we using it as
energy
color
healing
therapy?
course. The vibration of white is healing.
Okay.
Every color has its own frequency.
No, I get that. And I've done that. And I got into trouble with it. and I did not pray on them. I think we need to find out from a higher source to see. Because if it's just plain lighting, then yes. But also, you know, who knows? Because the others, in the non-Jewish world, they light these candles just to light them, or they pray to them. And
Right.
so
They
it could be,
utilize those colored candles for witchcraft, I know, or
right,
paganism.
that's what I'm saying. It could be a fine line. That's why I was getting anxiety.
Right.
That's why
Yeah, but you can't be quick to say that it's avodah zarah when it technically, once a person understands the fine lines,
okay.
it doesn't fall into that category.
Okay. Hey, that's what I saw, because that's what I see.
It's
out
just like saging. You know, many people think it's avodah zarah,
Right.
but halachically, you're just supposed to have a witness.
Yeah.
If someone witnesses that you're lighting up a sage stick to clear the energy in your home, and you're asking Hashem for protection and nobody else, and your witness hears it, there's no avodah zarah in it.
Yeah. So
But if you're doing it by yourself and no one is witnessing, no one is hearing, then yes, it'll fall under the category of avodah zarah, because there's no one to attest to it. Yaakov, can you get your sister, please?
okay. All right. I don't know. I just got major anxiety with that.
I hear you.
think it's
I
just
hear you.
past
But
stuff.
it's better to figure out, first of all, where the anxiety is coming from.
It's seeing past people doing it for avodah zarah reasons.
Okay, that could be. That could be.
It's, a
It's just
past-
like I would get massive anxiety if I see someone lighting a black candle.
No, I lived with somebody who only lit white candles, and I swear they said they never prayed to them. And then you see what happened to me, that a rabbi had to take care of and remove.
Yeah.
So that's why, you know, I think if you can find out, like, if we can and everything like that, then that would probably help a lot.
Yeah.
Because all I've ever seen is the avodah zarah part. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yep. All right, got a few more stuff to finish up over here, and I really gotta wrap it up. My kids are hungry. They're gonna eat me alive. So, all right. So I mentioned practice shower meditation, gemstones, smudging. She claims use negative ion generators or salt lamps. I personally have not used it. I don't know how effective it is. Go ahead and try if you want. Lighting a white candle, spraying rose water or other types of aromatherapy. That's perfectly fine, especially inhaling lavender. Lavender is very, very, very special. Another one is get out in nature, hug a tree, or earthing, which is like putting your bare feet on the ground. That's definitely good for balance. Create a safe space for meditation. I personally do not use candles with meditation or incense or any of that. Meditation for me is just plain meditation. I don't need any other external factors to help me connect with Hashem. So if you're going to be doing a safe space for meditation, keep it only on meditation. Now I want to go ahead and go to the empath affirmation and then go to a small discussion, how we all enjoyed the class. So the empath affirmation is, I will protect my energy around draining people. I will learn how to set healthy boundaries. I will learn to say no at the right times. I will listen to my intuition about the relationships that are nurturing for me. I don't know if I'm going to be getting into empaths and empathic children. I'll discuss it in the WhatsApp, but if we're not going to continue on with that, then we're going to go on to the Hashkafa series. So let's go into a quick discussion.